man. I mean,
so good.
Every henchman or every other boss, besides Young and like Kim and all those guys, like, they're other players and other things that we've seen, and it's just like they're gonna get their due when we talk about other stuff that we do episodes on.
And I also think like
Dante Bosco Rufio. Gosh. So yeah, I mean
we could. I don't know. Gosh, maybe we should have dedicated more time to him.
Yeah,
but
probably.
We'll move on.
Well, that kid from Rufio is in it. In perfect.
I mean, yeah, that kid from Hook who is, made me think he was the coolest person alive during Hook. I really did. And when Hook stabs him, I really cried in theaters. I was done. I was done. I mean, it was tough. You don't come back from something like that. Marcus, it's on the movie poster, but did you get a chance to look at the good old fashioned tagline for this movie?
I did.
Okay.
So we have the go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Tell me what they are.
So we have no gun, no knife, no equal.
Why doesn't it say no problem?
No, I like no equal. I like no equal.
You don't like no equal. Okay.
You like
no equal. Yeah.
I do like it because everybody thinks it's going to be no problem. I mean, that seems kind of like, oh, that's been done. But no equal, like, it doesn't matter if this guy is coming out of the shower. Yeah. You're not going to beat this dude. Like, it doesn't matter what's happening.
So, and then we get the other one, which is...
Just try him.
Yeah. And I don't know if they're supposed to be together.
I don't think
no
so.
No guns, no knives, no equal.
Yeah.
Just try him.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, that's bold, put two taglines.
Yeah. Right. I like how simple... I think we talk about that a lot, though, like how long the taglines are... and stuff like that, where this is what we kind of want, is just like no gun, no knife, maybe Kempo sticks, just no equal.
But some knives.
Yeah, 2 knives, one that'll throw away later, just as a decoy. And
one is obviously decoy knife. It's just there to make big noise. It's probably heavier than a normal knife, so he's like, I'll throw this one because I know it makes a bigger noise.
Yeah.
I didn't look at the body count this week.
I did.
You did, right? I want to take a guess at the body count.
Yes, please do. Please do.
I killed them. I killed them all.
I see bodies in the floor.
No, they're all dead. They're all dead.
There are some certain deaths, but there's a lot that are like, did he kill that guy?
Yeah, it's a very tricky movie, yeah.
Because it looks like he breaks necks, but they could just be put, I assume if I see someone's neck over your shoulder, or you got him in a front face lock, excuse me, that's Budweiser, that's a year past
how is
expiration date Budweiser.
Give us the taste test. Is it all right?
I mean, yeah. It's, I'd hardly ever drink Budweiser, like just straight Budweiser.
Yeah.
And it's good, I gotta say.
Okay.
I don't know why I guess people like the idea of light. Anyway, when you're in a front face lock and you lift up and you hear the crack, etc., like you assume they're dead. So I'm going to count those. I'm going to say this body count 15.
Very close. Over though.
Okay. I'm over 12.
Yeah. There you go. Bam.
12. Yeah. And I would guess because I know at least 3 is the big guy, right? 3.
Yeah. Are you talking about Tanaka? How many kills he has?
Professor Tanaka, yeah.
Yeah.
The big guy.
That's also his name in this is Tanaka, too.
Oh, interesting. And Jeff's name is Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fun! So I guess Speakman has all the other ones then.
Speakman gets his nut in the warehouse.
What does he have, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. At the warehouse, I guess he kills it. So
he gets one in the club, and then he gets 5 in the warehouse.
Lord.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
So that's... the body count now,
and on the roof too when he goes up the elevator, the outside elevator, which is useless, and henchman's like.
The body count's there. I want to set up nostalgia a little bit.
Please,
this is nostalgia. We try to set up the time period. Now this is 1991, Marcus. I don't know if you knew this, but I imagine you did because there's a card set based on it. Mm-hmm. But we're getting into the Gulf War. But I don't need to be specific on those dates because that's not what this is about. I want to set the stage because this was another big thing for me because this was the year of WrestleMania 7.
Ooh.
Now, this is an interesting one, Marcus.
Okay.
If you remember...
I'm coming into this brand new, too, so I don't know
You're
anything.
brand new.
Yeah.
I talked about SummerSlam 91, I believe, on Showdown in Little Tokyo.
Right.
And that's where Ultimate Warrior holds up Vince McMahon, the owner of the WWF, is like, I want as much money as Hulk Hogan or I'm out. He gives him the money and then fires him immediately afterwards because no one's going to, mess with his company like that. So... WrestleMania 7 is interesting because I'm going to do an abbreviated version of this. The entire story of it is fascinating to me. You can listen to a podcast called The Lapsed Fan. Shout out. Really enjoy you guys. They cover WrestleMania 7 and their WrestleMania journey. And they interview wrestling journalists and things like that. It's great. So WrestleMania 7 is a follow-up, of course, to WrestleMania 6. WrestleMania 6 was Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. That happened in the Toronto Sky Dome, 65,000 people, enormous event, legendary event. One of my favorite WrestleMania matches as a kid, maybe one of my favorites to this day.
So just to get some accuracy on my end, so was this like at a time when is this at his Ultimate Warrior's prime too? Like when
WrestleMania 6 was at his prime, I think. Because after that, he's the champion. He doesn't do great in terms of like drawing an audience, all this stuff.
And Hogan is still huge at this time too, right?
Hogan is huge, but Hogan is expected to go away and make movies.
Okay.
But Ultimate Warrior's on the road. He's not drawing as much as people think he's going to. People are worried. People are like, "Oh, we should get Hogan back."
Okay.
So building into this,
was it thought that? And I'm sorry, I'm asking a lot of questions here, but I just want to make sure. Was Warrior supposed or kind of thought to be the heir to Hulk Hogan as well? Okay.
He was the next. Okay. He's the next Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
They were sitting in Arsenio Hall, Regis and Kathy Lee, not Regis. Is it Regis and Kathy Lee? Right, Kathy Lee Gifford. Regis and Kathy Lee. So he was going on all these shows, but the thing is, his character's like this guy who, he just does that a lot.
Yeah.
So he's very uncomfortable and awkward, but then they try to fix that, but everyone's like, what? Why is this guy talking like this? So they're like, okay, so maybe as a champion, he's not what we want. He's not Hulk Hogan who can go and do the whole, I'm a normal human being, but when I'm ready to fight. So WrestleMania 7 is interesting because they're flying high. And you got to remember, WWF is pay-per-view.
Right.
WrestleMania 3 was huge for pay-per-view. WrestleMania 4, 5, biggest pay-per-view sales of the year. So when 7 happens, WWE's riding high because 6 did well, and they're like, let's go for it. So they try to do the LA Coliseum, 100,000 people. This is at a time with heavy steroid scrutiny. They're still drawing, but they're not certainly 80s WWF.
Sure.
And they're about to go into some of the worst months of their... Vince McMahon's about to be indicted in a couple years, maybe 2 years from now.
Wait, what was he indicted for?
The distribution of steroids.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's an amazing story.
This is a world, like... I feel like I would love I feel like I'm too far gone now that I can't get into it, though. And I don't mean to sidetrack us here, but I feel like things have happened. It's like liking Lost or wanting to get into Lost and the last season or something.
You know what
like
you do?
I just feel like
I think it's the same way with collecting. We talked about this briefly, but like if you're going to start collecting baseball cards or sports cards, don't go and try to get like, I'm going to get a LeBron James rookie. Like,
right.
You're not probably going to be in it to make much money if you're starting now, or you're just like a novice in the. Go just collect shit you like.
Right.
Like you this Griffey card that I bought, probably not worth much, but man, I remember this card as a kid. Therefore, it's great to have, and I didn't break my bank because I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to, create a new source of income for myself.
Right.
So I think the same thing about wrestling. Go watch something that you might remember as a kid, like, that's that's crazy.
That makes
what
sense.
about and then sort of spiderweb out from there.
Yeah.
So WrestleMania 7 is happening, and they're like, we are going to do the Los Angeles Coliseum. 100,000. Huge. What they do, because Warrior's being Warrior, and they're not too happy with him, they give him a huge match. It's the best Ultimate Warrior match you'll ever see. It's Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ultimate Warrior. Also the reuniting of Miss Elizabeth and Macho Man. But the big match is Hulk Hogan versus the Turncoat, Sergeant Slaughter.
Ooh. Oh, I do. Okay.
Who has sided with Iraq.
Yes. I remember this. I do remember that, yeah.
Who was best friends with Sergeant Slaughter. I mean, who was best friends with Saddam Hussein.
Right.
Excuse me. They do segments where he's like, thank you, Saddam Hussein, for these wrestling boots. Now, WWFE claims, like, oh, well, we weren't in a war when we started the program. But, dude, you were in a war at the prime of the program. So, people are like, you got to stop, right? Like, you know, because Sergeant Slaughter's saying some, you know, U.S. troops are weak compared to the mighty.
Jesus.
All these things. And maybe not those exact words, but certainly hinting at America bowing down. So you can look at this as a wrestling angle and be like, well, okay.
So it wouldn't go off too well with now if we did Taliban and U.S. troops or anything like that.
And they've tried it.
Yeah.
They're shameless. Sergeant Slaughter, G.I. Joe, a literal G.I. Joe made of him, turns his back on America and wants to be part of Saddam Hussein's regime.
Okay.
Saddam Hussein is sending him gifts. There's rumor that they talked about burning a flag because it became illegal to burn flags.
And this is true. Like Saddam actually sent him gifts, or it's part of the gimmick?
None of this is true, and that's kind of what's messed up even more.
I mean, it seemed like it could be true. Like, oh, thanks, man. Yeah.
No. So he's going to fight Hulk Hogan. Mm-hmm. So what's happening? Well, there's an actual war going on where soldiers are dying pretty consistently. Right. It's terrible. WWF is in trouble because they're not selling enough seats to fill up 100,000 seats.
Okay,
that's an issue. You don't want to do a 100,000 seat auditorium with 40,000, 50,000.
Right.
You don't want to. It's going to look weird. So there's rumor and innuendo, or however you want to look at it, that WWE changed for security reasons because Sergeant Slaughter was getting death threats.
Makes sense, yeah.
Now, what I've heard about Vince McMahon is that would never matter to him. That he could care less if you threaten the life of one of it, because he thinks that's the real patriot thing to do would be to continue and do it.
Right, that's viewers, that's everything. You're making money for...
you are capitalism. You are what America is, and I will not be intimidated by people threatening.
Sure.
You know, if I do that, Saddam wins. So he says that because only for safety reasons, he is going to go to this smaller Coliseum.
Okay.
Because at the time, like months, maybe a couple weeks before this, there's only 14,000 tickets sold.
Just 14,000? That's it?
And that's kind of just a rounded number. I could be citing a wrong source or be off in my estimation, but I think it's around that much. So,
but I mean, like, let's just say, I'm sorry, but I wanted to ask, like, of course this is before the time of, internet and everything too. So, like, but even at this time, WrestleMania is still selling out, like, once tickets are released, like, predominantly, right? Or is it?
It's not
that big, or
it's not what it is now. Now,
sure,
I feel like they might be able to do better, just because it's more accessible. Right. There's a network. It's the brand of WrestleMania is bigger.
But they shouldn't have had a hard time selling more than 14,000 tickets at that time.
No, when you think of Hogan Andre, which depending on who you talk to, drew above 80,000 people.
Yeah.
80,000 wouldn't look weird necessarily in a 100,000 stadium, but depending on how you shoot it. But you can't make 50,000 look big in a 100,000 stadium. So what they do, they move to a smaller arena. And to this day, I'm pretty sure every WWF diehards say it was because of the death threats that we didn't feel safe. Other people say you didn't sell enough tickets. So you went to a 15,000 seat auditorium, and people say didn't even sell that out.
Yeah.
But what's cool about this, and what is nostalgic about it for me, what draws me back, is it is the most basic sense, and it's an interesting point where it's like, it's good versus evil. It's Captain America versus Nazi is what they're trying to do. It's like the same branding thing. It just doesn't work. As I